In this video, I'll be making this 4-foot round dining table, so let's get started.
When I'm making a round tabletop for the glue up, I don't just glue up a big square and then waste all of this wood out here. I'm gonna cut my boards up where they're just a little bit shorter so that circle fits in there. Obviously that's a bad example, but you get what I'm saying. And I don't waste all this out here. I still have quite a bit of waste. It's a circle, but not near as much waste as I have here. And how I figure out, I'm going to show you how I figure out how long these boards need to be. What I'm going to do is draw a quarter of the circle on this piece of cardboard and then put the widths of my boards on there and then measure and see how long they are. So you need to think of it like that. I'm drawing this part of the circle. So whatever the length of this board is, obviously I'm going to double that. And then I'm going to add about 1.5 inches to it. And I'm going to do that all the way down. And then obviously just do the same thing over here. Now, after I get it laid out initially, if I have just a little sliver on both sides, then I'll just do a board in the middle. And I'll have to lay them out again and see how that works out, if that makes sense. So let's lay out this top and we'll see if we can figure it out here. So the first thing I'm going to do is take this gadget. We're making a 48-inch top, so I'm going to set this at 24 because that's half of our 48. All right. So we're going to set that dude at 24. How well you can see that. So that's like it's sitting in the corner of our circle. Okay. So our first boards are 10 inches wide. And then the next one I have over there is 8.5. So we're going to put a mark right there. And that leaves us with about 6 inches. So that works. All right, so then I'm just going to come back with this T-square. And put me a line up here. And another line there. And I guess I could have just measured with that, but I always come back with a tape measure. So that's 22.25. So doubling that would make it 44.5. So we're going to call that 46. That's our rough cut. And that's actually for this board. This board is going to be, it's the full length, the 48.5, the 48. So 48.5. So we'll call 49.5 for this board. This board will be 46. And that's 16, so is that 26.32, so 33.5. So this board needs to be 33.5, this board needs to be 46, and this board needs to be 49.5. And then obviously, so we're going to need two of each one.
All right, so here I'm just getting those boards cut up that we just spent that time figuring out, what size they needed to be. All these are going to be for our tabletop. And this wood I'm using, when I bought it, it was surfaced on 3 sides, which means it's flat and square on 3 sides. So the 4th side I'm running through my table saw here to get a good straight edge there also. And now, before I do my glue up, I'm just going to check this one final time on the actual boards itself to make sure I didn't screw up anywhere, and that my circle, my tabletop, is going to fit. And that worked out, so we're going to get it glued up. You know, I've made quite a few build videos now, and obviously every one of them where I'm gluing up a top somewhere in the video, and I feel sometimes like I should leave that out of the video because it's in every one of our videos. But you know, we're still a small channel, and I'm sure hopefully, you know, new people see we reach new people with every video, I'm hoping. So I guess I'll still have these glue ups in there until we get a little further along. We like to use the small 6-inch clamps, and this is something else I feel like I talk about in every video. We use those small 6-inch clamps to you know, to hold those boards together just while we're getting the big clamps you know, tightened down. Now I'm gluing up a ton of blocks for the base, for the table base, and we're going to glue up 3 of these blocks for each leg. And really there's 8 legs. There's 4 going down, 4 going up, and then there's a 9th piece in the middle of all those. And all those are going to be 3 blocks glued together. So that's what I'm doing here, is just getting all those blocks cut down to rough dimension. They're all a little oversized right now. I'll get them glued up, and then after we get them out of clamps, I'll take them back to the joiner and get them flat and square, and then we'll go through the planer and get them all the same size. These little 6-inch clamps from Harbor Freight are my favorite 6-inch clamps. I love the handles on them. You know, they're not a great quality, but the size of clamp they are, they're outstanding. I mean, most of those clamps you see stacked up on my table there, and I add to the collection all the time, but there are clamps there that I've probably had for 10 years in the shop, and we use every day, and they're still working great for us. So I don't know that I've ever had any of those fail. Now, anything longer than the 6-inch are not worth buying. You know, I have several other sizes that I've tried, and they're just junk. The bar on them is not strong enough for, you know, to do anything over 6 inches, in my opinion. But those little 6-inch clamps are fantastic, and they're crazy cheap. I just use a cheap simple paint scraper to get the excess glue off, and then the rest of it I'm going to sand off. That's just to get the big knobs off there. And right now I'm just getting them off and out of the way so we can get this this circle cut. I love this circle cutting jig from Rockler. The downside is it's a little small. You know, we do a lot of big tables, and really this is about the biggest thing it does on its own. I've made a simple extension for it, so I still use that on my bigger tabletops. I just put an extension on the end of it, and you may have seen that in past videos. But it's a great simple jig. But it, you know, on the other hand, it would also be pretty easy to make a jig like that without spending the money, you know, buying one from Rockler if you wanted to do that also. And all the tools in our video, I'll have links to in the description, and I try and put them in the description in the order that I'm using them in the video. To me, that's just the simplest way to list them on there, and maybe hopefully the simplest way to find them. And I may have missed something, so if there's something you're looking for that's not on there, you know, feel free to ask about it in the comments. So there's that round top cut, and you can see there was very little waste, and that's kind of what the first part of this video was talking about, was just explaining my process on how I figure out what length my boards need to be. Going through the whole sanding process here, doing a small round over on the top. And now we're going to start getting those blocks worked through. Doing the same thing here, getting the big pieces of glue squeeze up off of there, and then I'll run them through the joiner and then the planer. And I'm running, two sides to the joiner there. I'll run one face and then put that face against the fence and run one of the edges. And most of them I just have to make one pass, but there are a few that I have to make, two passes to get that cleaned up. And then onto the planer for the other two sides. And as you can see, these are a lot taller than they are wide, so that tall face is going to have to go through the planer a few times before I even start doing the sides of the blocks. And I don't know that I even show that on here, but after we get them down to a little closer in size, then I start flipping them to the other side also, so they end up being square. Now I'm starting to cut the angles on these, and the bottom legs, the bottom four legs are, and you'll see it right here, are longer than the top four. And the reason for that, I'll put, and you'll see it a little bit later on, but I'm going to have some long boards sitting on top of there, half lapped together, that are going to go right underneath the tabletop, and that's what the tabletop is going to attach to. So those top legs are cut just a little shorter than the bottom ones to make up the difference with that piece on the very top. Now, this is my first time ever using a domino. I actually borrowed this thing from a buddy of mine that has one. I've never bought one for my shop. I'm sure I will one of these days. It was awfully nice to use in this context. I have, if you've watched any of our other videos, you've seen that I have a mortiser, and we use it to build most of our tables. I use it all the time. It's been in a million of our videos. And I feel like buying a domino will kind of make that thing, I would probably still use it quite often. But, that's one of the reasons why I don't need a domino most of the time, because I have that. But in this particular instance, that wouldn't have done me a whole lot of good here with these angles. This is definitely much easier. And I tried two different methods doing this second set of dominoes on these. On those ones I just did, if you noticed, I used the fence. This is a very versatile tool, and it was a pleasure to use. That fence is adjustable, the angle on it. Any angle you want to put it at, and that's what I was doing on those top. This is the centerpiece, by the way, that all the legs are going to be attached to. That's why there's dominoes all over it. And I'll finish it up over here. But what I was talking about a minute ago, I had adjusted the angle of the fence to the angle on my block, and was cutting those top dominoes using that. And here in a minute, when I do my other set of legs, you'll notice that I just used a square for both cuts. And in the long run, that was faster and easier than using their fence, because I was just able to move the square up, like you'll see me do here in just a second, and do that second one all at once, instead of doing the bottom one and then moving the fence and doing the top row. I don't know if any of that made any sense, but another cool thing about this domino, it has two little spring-loaded clips that stick out on each side, and they allow you to reference from the edge if you're in a situation to be able to do that. So all these dominoes, I just used that spring-loaded clip on the side and referenced the edge of my block there, and that made it really easy to space these out. I did screw up on one of them, which you can see right here in the picture in the bottom right there, but it still worked fine. my double-sided tape wasn't working very well for me. I figured out at the end that I needed to put some heavy pressure on them for a few seconds. Sit there and hold it for a few seconds and let it grab hold, and it worked then. But I wasn't doing that. I just was sticking it up there and letting go, and they were falling off. And here I'm changing this leg because I was talking about having a shorter one and a longer one. Well, I put one in the wrong place. I don't remember which one was which there, but I needed a long one and put a short one up there, or vice versa. So I had to switch it out. Luckily, I caught it before the glue was dry. And my buddy, I borrowed the domino from. He has done just small projects with it, so he hasn't used any of the largest dominoes like this, and he didn't have any on hand, so I just made some. We do a lot of projects in oak, and I've always got scraps all over the shop, too many. So it was easy to knock out all those dominoes with just the scraps I had around the shop. I actually sent some home with him. Every time I use these pipe clamps and I'm watching them, while I'm doing this voiceover in the video, they always make me laugh. I bought those from somebody off of Facebook Marketplace, and I have no idea why they have plumbing fittings on the ends of them, but I haven't bothered to take them off. And I wasn't even sure if I would use those small clamps. I just bought a bunch of pipe clamps from him, and I thought I would never use those, but they've actually come in pretty handy several times. I love the look of this base when I got it done. It was one of my favorite ones I've done in a while. And it would have really been hard to do, honestly, any other way. That domino made this project a lot easier. And I knew I had this thing coming up, and I knew Brandon had that domino joiner, so I was really looking forward to borrowing it and trying it out. So when I was making this cut, I was trying to do the 45 the other way with the miter saw, because that was obviously a lot easier. But that board was too wide; it wouldn't reach down through there, so I had to lay it over instead. Now here I'm making those two boards that are gonna half lap in the middle and set on top of our base, in between the base and the top. So I'm just getting that laid out now. That little jig is awesome. You set one side of it to the height of your board there, and then you can take it over, and it has another level there that shows where your blade needs to be. It's great. It only works if you're needing to do a half lap, but it's great for that. It's worth buying just for that. So I'm going to test fit that. The first time it didn't quite fit. The second time it was perfect. So I'm getting the second one cut here. And we'll test it again. And it fits. Now you see me here drilling on this thing, and it's not moving at all. I off camera, I popped a couple little screws down through this to hold it in place while I was doing all this work. And I should have captured that, but not that big of a deal. I just put some screws down there to hold it while I put the bolts in. There are a few things at the end here that I did not get videoed, and one of them was putting our leveling feet in. I do show drilling for them here in just a second, but you know, we just have a metal insert that we put in, and then screw some leveling feet in there, and they're outstanding to use. If you're on a surface that's not quite flat, you can screw one out, or if your project doesn't come out quite flat, they you know, they're great for that also. And then the next thing that we didn't show, I'm using a biscuit joiner to put slots in here to use tabletop clips to attach the tabletop to the base. And I show putting the slots in, but I don't show using the clips. Those are the clips down in the corner there. And then also the finish here at the end, we put some Vermont natural coating satin on there, which came out really nice. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them below. I'd love you to like and subscribe to our channel. Thanks for watching.